What's up, guys? But this is the world's first triphonic speaker. When we open it up, we are greeted with some documentation here. Looks like we get some stickers. There's black and there's white. And looks like a little assembly guide. This looks pretty simple. I don't think I need to read any instructions for this. Some little plastic handles here. It says lift. This is probably the base. That's really heavy. Floor stand. In here we've got the assembly guide. It tells you exactly how to put it together. This is the power cord. This is very aptly. Here we've got the poles. We've got 3 of these, and these just screw together like so. So I think the idea with this pole is, if you wanted to have it height adjustable, so if you wanted to make it like a desktop stand, this would be a small version. You can go a little bit taller, or if you want to maximize your height, you could put all 3 together. The center should be hollow, so you can run the power cord through. And on the bottom is a very heavy stand. Pop that out. Looks like a little plug for the cable. But it's got a nice, very heavy weight. I don't know how many pounds that is. I'm guessing maybe like 20 pounds. That's just a guess. It's got rubber feet on the bottom. Then this would screw right into here. Let's go ahead and run the cable up through this. We're gonna go in through the bottom. The power plug's gonna come up right through there. Then we are going to take out the speaker. This does look like it came from NASA. Look at that, Ziploc. There we go. Let's pop this out. That's nice. Comes freshly packed. How do we get this out of here? This is looking fresh. That's pretty cool. This looks like the Death Star. All right, so now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna take this end of the power plug, plug it in here, and then we are going to screw it to the base. Voila, there we go. Simple instructions. Actually, I didn't even have to read the instructions, so that turned out pretty good. Size-wise, height-wise, we're looking at about 48 inches tall. So the base, obviously, in the top and possibly the bottom. Then there is, the tweeters are right on the sides. There's one here. There is another one right here. And there's another one right on the other side here. So there's 3, 1, 2, and then one in the back here, 3. Hence, the 3 dots on the top, 1, 2, and 3. And I believe each dot is pointed to where the drivers are located. So I'm expecting there to be some pretty good bass out of these guys. But if we look here, there's this dial. There's this little ring. So if you wanted to adjust the volume up, you could do that and turn it the opposite direction, counterclockwise, volume down. And if you take the ring, pull it down, that's play and then pause. So there are some controls on this little pole here. So let's go ahead. They sent me 3 of these to check out. So the idea is you download an app which is on iOS. I do not think there's one on Android yet. So this is definitely one of the speakers I'm most interested in, and I've had a lot of speakers in here for review lately, but this one is so different that I'm super excited to check this out. So let's go ahead and get this thing set up. So this is a very unique looking speaker, very unique product. I was actually very interested in checking these out because I've never seen really any other speakers quite like this before.
Nope.
So basically they are a circular speaker. I mean, you can see them there right here, right next to us, right behind us actually.
Sphere shaped.
Yeah, they call them the triphonic speaker. So in the speaker, what's inside the speaker?
You've got 6 speakers, 3 3-inch mid drivers and 3 0.75-inch treble drivers, tweeters. And then you've got 2 6-inch dynamically opposed subwoofers, one on the top, one on the bottom. They create what's called a force reduction or force.
Yep, like a balanced force.
Right.
Force canceling.
Force canceling.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of good bass response without much vibration.
Correct. And first off, we won't talk about the sound first. As far as like setup, it's very simple setup. You plug in the speakers. We got 3 of these guys. And for setup, we've got the left and right speaker. And then for the third speaker, we placed it behind our listening chair, our listening area. So basically, one would be kind of like a surround speaker, and then obviously your 2 left and rights.
Right.
And then once you download the app, you will have to download the iOS app. It'll run you through the whole setup. It'll find each one of the speakers, or they call them cells. It'll go through the room calibration and send out a couple of test tones through each one of the speakers. So to calibrate to your room, and it'll take into consideration like room boundary and like how close this speaker is to the wall. So it'll compensate for that, and it'll locate each speaker and place it in the exact spot it is in your room. So it'll know the left speaker is on the left, right, and in the center. And we do have 3 speakers. You can hook up to 4 speakers, but for this purpose, for this video, we've only got 3. And the cool thing about it is within the app, there's this little, I guess they call it a little puck that you can drag to change the orientation or the focus of the speaker, of the sound. So if you want to go just to the left, you can divert all the sound over to the left speaker, or you can slide it over to the right speaker, or you can slide it all the way to the back. So you can change where the sweet spot is, basically.
It's a graphic circular representation of your listening area, and you can position it, you can direct the sound. It's very neat. Also, when the sound's playing, you can sort of see. So the way the speaker is set up, you've got 3 groups of 2, a mid-range and a tweeter, and they're placed in horns that are arranged 120 degrees apart from each other. So kind of like a circular setup, and it allows you to see on this graphic representation of which horns are active based on what's coming out, the music you're playing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, so if you wanted to take the little puck and you can drag it around the room, and you can actually follow it with your ears and hear it as the sound moves in whatever direction you direct it at. So it can go in like 360 degrees, or you can bounce it back and forth, wherever. So if you want sound to sound more like it's forward, you can push the puck forward. If you want the sound to come like it's behind you, you can send all the vocals and everything right behind you. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that software sort of sets this thing apart. I've never seen anything like this. It's so flexible and sort of, let's say, gonna have to
intuitive, very intuitive, I think.
Easy to use, but it's so
user friendly.
No, the word I'm trying to think of is
customizable.
Thank you. Holy shit.
Yeah, they're customizable.
Okay. Yeah, this app makes the sound extremely customizable depending on if you've got 2 speakers, 1 speaker. I think that's why they call them cells. Honestly, I haven't read about this, but it makes sense to me because you can run 1 speaker and get a full stereo sound out of it versus, if you run 2 or 3, and you can really, it depends on the size of the room you're trying to fill and what your aim is, but each one can sort of do the same as the others, or you can use them in conjunction and create a much bigger sound.
So to give you that spatial sound is what they're calling it. Get a nice spacious sound. And so the sound will radiate in basically 360 degrees around each speaker. So let's talk about the audio quality. This is not an audiophile speaker.
No.
First and foremost, not an audiophile-esque speaker. It's a lifestyle product. That's what it is.
Right. I mean, it's good sound quality. Nothing to complain about. But if you wanted to sit down and listen to your, just 2 speakers, listening to the best quality sound, not really what we're looking for here. Not what this is aimed at.
So that being said, we're not saying it sounds bad or anything like
that. No, not at all.
Actually sounds pretty good.
Pretty good.
So we hooked it up with the HDMI cable. There's an HDMI that plugs into the bottom of the base of the speaker, and each one of the speakers has a USB-C input. So it's a USB-C over to HDMI. So the HDMI will plug into your television set, or eARC compatible projector or streaming device or whatever you have.
Right.
So you play your app from the TV and it sends the audio over to the speaker. So we played a couple different movies. The cool thing about it is it does accept the 5.1 input. So we played some movies from Netflix. The Adam Project we checked out,
yep.
which has a tremendous amount of bass in that movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you what, the cool thing about these speakers is the frequency response is, what is it?
It's 30 hertz to 20 kilohertz.
20 kilohertz. And, if you factor in room gain, that 30 hertz, it's got to go down to maybe 25 hertz in this room, maybe a little bit lower.
Oh, yeah, it was thumping pretty good.
Yeah, it's like...
And we listened to it both in the standard and reduced bass function.
Yeah. I mean, you might want to use reduced because I think the bass can be a little overbearing at times.
It's really, the bass frequency, when you get around 125 hertz, you get that real, that overrunning resonance that just makes everything hum.
Yeah.
This tends to put a lot of that out in the standard mode.
Yeah, sometimes there's a scene where I think the mom and the kid are driving in the car. You can feel the entire room vibrate, I'm guessing from the engine of the car. So not the most balanced sound.
Never mind the spaceships.
Yeah. Oh, the spaceship's crazy too. I mean, but don't get me wrong, it's a fun sounding speaker.
Oh yeah, it sounded good. It doesn't make it sound bad. It's just, I mean, unless you really, really like the bass, man, you might want to give it a shot.
Listen, we kept it on standard because, listen, who doesn't like a lot of bass? It sounds like you got subwoofers in every corner of the room. That's how much bass is coming from these things.
Oh yeah, definitely. You would not need to run a separate subwoofer with these speakers. No way.
And there's a thing, I know I like to tell people, listen, try to cross over your speakers as low as possible so you can utilize all the bass from every one of your channels if they're capable. And this is one of those speakers where it's like, there's no crossover in them. They're just running full range. And it's, so room filling. Like there's bass behind your head in the surround speakers, and obviously there's bass on the front, left, and right. So I like this concept that every one of these speakers is full range. So you really get this huge these speakers sound already big because they're omnidirectional basically, but then you factor in the bass, the extension of the low bass in every direction part of your room. It's kind of crazy sounding.
Yeah, I mean, if you were running say a speaker, you could put one of these in your bedroom, and it would do a great job of filling up, and you wouldn't be able to tell that. Honestly, you just listen to one speaker.
Mm-hmm. We tried one speaker first. Remember I showed you. You were like,
yeah, I sat down. I'm like, what's going on? And he goes, check this out. And he could take the graphic interface and just shift it to the left one, shift it to the right one. I'm like, what are you doing? And it sounded great. I mean, if you like the sound like say a home pod or something like that, these kind of home type speakers, then these are like that on steroids.
Yeah. But back to the movie though, I felt like if you weren't in the sweet spot in the center, that we were kind of like on a love seat here.
On a dual recliner, okay? I don't sit on love seats with this cat.
So if you're closer to one speaker than the other one, obviously...
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
If you're sitting closer to the one speaker than the other, you really didn't get that much of a phantom center image. So, I mean, you would kind of have to be directly placed between the speakers to get the nice center image. Otherwise, it kind of felt... Maybe it was a little too spacious. Like, you could tell it wasn't really anchored in the center for dialogue.
But again, you have that app to play with, and you can kind of move things around to kind of change that, because while we're doing this, he moved some stuff around. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? It's like trippy.
Yeah, you could definitely focus it more, but then, listen, if I focus it so I got a nice center image on my side, obviously it's going to be less
hey,
for
screw
him,
you, Bill.
So. I mean, there's always that. But I'm saying, if you're sitting by yourself, you definitely have to kind of be in the center of the speakers, as with any speaker, I think.
Right.
But I think these are a little bit more finicky because they're omnidirectional instead of like a point source, monopole rather. So I think you definitely have to be kind of in the center. And then the cool thing is that with the third speaker, with the surround speaker, you can give yourself more, ambiance, more directivity in the back, or you can pull it forward to enhance the front soundstage. So you can. It's a pretty cool thing that you can mess around with the soundstage within the app.
Really, really customizable. And I was reading about this, that sort of when you put the speakers in the room, whether you've got two or three, and you run the sound check, the calibration function, what it's doing is it's mapping out where the walls are, and it basically directs the sound inward toward the center of the room, because they assume that you're not going to be sitting next to the wall listening to it. So, but again, you may be sitting against the wall, let's do it. And that's why the app allows you to customize, that sound after the fact.
So now that we know that the bass is like maybe a little bit overemphasized, even though you can reduce it a little bit. Extremely low bass, extremely impressive bass. But then, I think comes like the mid-range area, which I felt like if we were looking at a graph, it probably would go like this, like the bass would be here, and then it slowly takes a little dive in the mid-range area. And I feel like there's a dip, and then it goes back into the treble area. So bottom heavy, then I felt like the mid-range really enhanced the treble response, which makes these speakers sound a bit bright.
What I was hearing was, real, heavy bass, nice, high end, and it had sort of like the upper part of the mid-range, the lower mid-range from like where the bass rolls off and the mid-range kicks in. That was a little like kind of like skipped over almost. It felt like maybe that was missing a little bit, unless one of the things we did was we played some like Smashing Pumpkins and some more rock sort of mid-heavy stuff, and that was the one sort of thing that I didn't really care for. That didn't sound great.
Yeah, I made everything sound, I want to say a little bit hollow and bit bright at the same time. So it was really bottom heavy, and then there's like this big suck out in the mid-range, but then, with heavy metal rock music, it tends to be bright anyways, and it was just like overemphasized on the trebly side, on the treble end. And which also, during the movies, when we're watching the movies, like the movie just seemed overly bright, and like the vocals and stuff really missed that resonance when people were talking. It just sounded a little edgy sounding to me.
Not a real flat sounding response from these things.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're playing music through it, you got to be careful how you use that graphic, function on the app, because you may sort of change the whole profile of the sound.
So I mean, all in all, not an audiophile speaker by any means, but I do think that it's an enjoyable speaker. It's a very dynamic speaker.
Oh yeah.
I know I spoke to the guys at Syng, or the women at Syng, and I had requested that maybe they give us maybe like an EQ, because I felt like maybe like a user adjustable EQ could definitely help kind of flatten that out, bring up some of the mid-range clarity that we're kind of missing right now. But other than that, man, listen, we did the movies, we did the music. As far as like using 3 speakers for music, I liked it. I'd like to pull that puck a little bit closer to the left and right speakers and just give a little bit of ambiance in the back, because I think when we set it in the middle, I think there was like too much vocals coming from behind us.
Right, but again, this is a lifestyle speaker, right? So lifestyle, you entertain a lot, so you're having parties. Man, you put one of these things in the corner, if you get a big room, or you can take one of these and put them in each room, doesn't really matter. And sort of got that Sonos vibe where you can have them all playing the same thing, sounding good, put them in the same room, and just have them all playing the same way instead of like changing it around to make one a left, a right, or a center.
So yeah, just like that, just like you said, man, if you're used to Sonos, then listen, I think these sound better than the Sonos. Because they're so big.
Yeah, they're far larger. I mean, those
fuller
things
sound.
Yeah, exactly. Even the Play 5 can't even come close to the bass these things are putting out.
Yeah. So as far as like usability, I think the app is super easy to use. The connectivity was rock solid. Like, we didn't notice any dropouts.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen some things where some people were having issues, but ours was set up like that. There's no problem.
No dropouts or anything like that. It's a fun speaker. It's a dynamic speaker. I mean, if you're somebody that likes the HomePod or those little Apple speakers, whatever, this is definitely the next step. It's like a more upscale Sonos.
Exactly. These are not inexpensive speakers, but I guess they're competitively priced for what it is they do. When you're talking about this kind of lifestyle speaker, these things run Apple AirPlay 2 and Spotify pretty much exclusively right now.
Yeah.
And then you can also hook up your HDMI cable that has eARC through the C, USB-C, and put in the speaker, the stand itself.
Yep.
But you can't. There's no Android compatibility in terms of you can't. If you're using an Android phone, you're kind of out of luck there.
Yeah. So only Spotify and AirPlay and HDMI.
Also, no Bluetooth.
No Bluetooth.
Got Bluetooth connectivity for control, but not for actual music playthrough.
Yeah, no Bluetooth. Sorry. But listen, at the time of this video, each one of these speakers is $17.99. Great speaker, fun speaker, not an audiophile speaker,
not an audiophile
lifestyle speaker for sure.
The setup we ran would cost you about $400 bucks.
Yeah, $400 bucks.
So, You know, if you've got a bigger room or you want to put some of the things in different, you know, different rooms, that's kind of cool. But, you know, just be prepared.
Anyways, guys, that's our take on the Syng Cell Alpha speakers. Have you guys heard them? Have you guys got a chance to hear them? If so, leave your comments down below. Let us know what you thought of them. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. If you want, you can follow us on social media. If you want to support the channel even further, we have a Patreon. I'll leave our Patreon link down below as well. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.
See you down the road.